Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zach, and here we talk about overlanding, gear, builds, DIY, all sorts of stuff related to modifying your vehicle. Today we're going to be talking about a bunch of recovery gear that I carry in my vehicle at all times, and I think a lot of it's pretty affordable, and I just kind of want to provide a little bit of exposure for some of these products. Not necessarily that they're the best products out there or that I've tested everything to compare them to, but just to bring them to your attention and kind of their price point. They're mostly pretty affordable, and I think nice things to have along. It provides me a lot of peace of mind, and I think they're pretty good options on the market. So that being said, let's jump right in to the top-down camera, and I'm just going to show you a bunch of this stuff that I keep in one of my cases, and then, I'll sprinkle in a couple of clips of me using them here and there. So, all right, let's jump right in. All right, so first thing I want to talk about is some stuff from a company called Sandy Cats. If you haven't heard of Sandy Cats before, he's an awesome guy. He has a small store online, and he's also got a pretty large social media following. He makes great YouTube videos. I'll link everything down below. But this rope he sent to me, and I've really liked it. The nice thing that he's been doing is he's been doing kind of all of his own quality control on his products. He goes out and he tests them. He tries to put them through their paces himself, and he's sourcing them from really affordable areas. So the 20-foot length kinetic rope like this, I think is like $100 or something on his website, and the 30-foot one is like the one that I have, this 7/8 inch by 30 foot. I think it's like $125. So if you know the price of kinetic ropes, that's a really economical price, and they're really high quality. I had to use this winter. I'll pop the clip up on the screen. Pulled a couple people out with it. So far, I've really liked it. I'm not going out every single weekend rock crawling and, need a yank every time I'm riding, like every hour or something. But this rope has been pretty sweet, and definitely I carry this rope with me everywhere that I go. In addition to that, he sent a couple soft shackles, which also, to get soft shackles this thick can be pretty expensive. It's a 3/8 inch by 30 inch soft shackle, and this is a 7/16 by 30 inch soft shackle, and these are awesome. I've used these with the rope because they're the strongest soft shackles that I have, and they're also very affordable, and he sourced them and kind of tested them out himself. So if you're interested in gear, this stuff I think is going to be a lot higher quality than just those random Amazon brands, and for the price, it's really a great bang for your buck. So definitely go check those out. Like I said, I'll have Sandy Cat's stuff linked down below. I really like this piece of gear. I keep it in my hitch at all times. It's a nice recovery point. This one is from Harbor Freight. I think they're roughly $25, $30. I'll post the official prices for all these items up on the screen. But this is just kind of handy. It's a nice rear recovery point. Uses just a standard hitch pin straight through here. It's much safer than just using like a 2-inch ball as a recovery. There was a really sad story on Facebook about someone using a hitch as a recovery point with just a ball, and the ball snapped off, turned into a projectile, and I think the person passed away. It was really sad. So it's just really important that you're safe with recovery gear as well. Didn't really mean to get super sad about this, but having a hitch mounted recovery point that's really good is important. Factor 55 also makes an alternative to this Harbor Freight one. This Harbor Freight one has kind of rusted and the paint has really degraded on it, but overall I think it's still structurally sound. I have a shackle hanging from this, but I definitely will probably swap this out for a soft shackle. This is just how it's always been set up, and honestly I leave it partially in my receiver just as protection driving out on the road. I would swap this out for a soft shackle, and I'll tell you a little bit more about some of the soft shackles. Now, you all know I like my Harbor Freight stuff. Harbor Freight's supported me in the channel. They have sent me a couple of their soft shackles as well. These soft shackles are just a little bit smaller and maybe would pack down in a smaller space a little bit better. They're a little bit harder to work with, but I think they might have a little bit higher braking strength. These ones are a 7/16 by 10 inch soft shackle with a 47,000 pound braking strength. And then the ones from Sandy Cats, they're a 7/16 by 30 inch with a 36,000 pound braking strength. I really like these because they're really soft and malleable, and they're a lot longer. So if for some reason you needed to wrap this around a larger item, like something on a frame, it's going to be really nice. These soft shackles, really, I think you're only going to be able to use at like a typical soft shackle toe point or some sort of loop or hook on a bumper. So they're a little bit more limited, but I think they're a bit cheaper. They're definitely smaller, so if you're trying to pack these down, it's going to be pretty convenient. I do have a couple hard shackles, but these are just from my bumper. I typically have them on my bumper, but I took them off when I got it repainted. I think I'm going to just leave them off because soft shackles are pretty handy and easy to use, but I bought these off Amazon. I've towed a couple times on them, and I've hit a couple of big rocks with these, and they've served me well. So no complaints, but also haven't probably put them through their paces, but they're on Amazon for a pretty cheap price. And if you want a hard shackle, I haven't had any problems with them yet. Also, I've got this little shovel from Harbor Freight. It's really handy, probably like a poop shovel or something, but you could also use it to dig out a hole or some other things like that. All you do is you twist the handle, and then the shovel portion will fold, and it folds up just like this. Really small. Here's the size of my hand. Here's the shovel. Pretty small shovel, and just convenient for little small things, but it's pretty handy to have along with me wherever I go, because if I would need a shovel for something, I've got it along. One thing that I always carry with me are ratchet straps. These definitely aren't like a safe tow strap or anything like that, but sometimes a situation just calls for a ratchet strap, whatever it may be. Maybe it's helping to pull some sort of branch or tree out of the way, or whatever it might be. So it's just kind of handy to have a couple of ratchet straps along with you. Next, I'm going to talk about these action tracks. As you can see right here, actiontracks.com. This is based out of Kansas City, and I've really loved these. I've kind of beat them up a little bit. Like as you can see right here, this little one is completely indented. I have a bolt kit to drill out the ends, so you can put some screws through the ends here so that you've got nice metal contacts for the teeth. These are kind of like a rubbery material, so they're very bendy, and they're great in the winter. They don't like get brittle in the cold. I really love them. They're kind of on the softer side though, so depending upon what you need your traction board for, you know, they're basically going to serve certain purposes, but maybe not as well for others. But I've used these a number of times to help get people out of the ditch in town, and also if you get stuck in the mud, they're going to be really handy. It is pretty inconvenient, but probably the last 3 or 4 trips I've gone on, I've carried both of these sets of traction boards along. I've been testing these out. These are the Tread Pro recovery boards from Tread. Tread is kind of like a partner of ARB, and they sell these traction boards. They've got some different options. I've got like the top of the line version, and they've got these special like glass resin teeth that are supposed to be really strong and weather resistant. And these are directional, so you actually shove this under the tire and you go like this. The handles are kind of built into the tread, so they claim there's a ton of surface area on these traction boards. These have these 4 that are pretty wide, so they'll probably work for wider tires. These are more stiff and maybe have some benefits as far as like bridging gaps over the action tracks because they are stiffer, but also maybe there'd be concern in the winter that they would crack. I haven't had any problems. I used them a couple times in the winter, and I used them on a ton of cars, getting them out of the ditch. I think I saved like over 10 cars just around town, you know, Target parking lots, ditches, those sorts of things. These traction boards work awesome, especially for 2-wheel drive cars that are getting high centered. I love carrying these around. These are not compatible with, I think they claim they are, but I don't think they are. I haven't used these with MaxTrax pins. Maybe they do work, but my other ones definitely do. They claim that these have more mounting options because of all these holes in the inside, so you can kind of design your own brackets as well. They're pretty versatile. I've liked them. They have a little bit taller profile than the action tracks, but they stack together fairly nicely. So yeah, haven't had anything bad to say about them. It's just been inconvenient having 2 different types of traction boards. I did talk about how most of the stuff on this list is pretty affordable. These traction boards and the Action Tracks are actually some of the most expensive traction boards you can buy. That's not on purpose. I've just been testing more of the expensive ones because I had a cheap set off Amazon, and they did okay, but I've heard a lot of horror stories about other people having problems with their traction boards from Amazon. So I kind of decided to go the more luxury or expensive route with these. So, and the Action Tracks ones I've had for about a year now. These ones I've had for about 6 months. But yeah, I like them both. Both traction boards were sponsored to test out, so I just want to say that up front to be fully transparent. But I've liked both of them. I'd like to test some Max Tracks in the future as well at some point, but I haven't been able to test those yet. So I did originally have those Amazon ones. Like I said, I primarily had just used those for balancing out my vehicle. Never really used them for actually getting unstuck. But so far, with the nicer boards, I haven't had any problems. Talking about Amazon gear, the next thing on the list is a tree saver strap. You can get these from Amazon, Harbor Freight, really anywhere. I don't know if there is like some sort of big golden rule on tree saver straps, but this one seemed plenty durable to me. I've used it once or twice and it's done me well. Doesn't seem to be failing in any place. But yeah, these are mainly just, supposed to be as thick and sturdy as they can be. This is a strap that I bought off Amazon a long time ago as just a last resort. Since then, I've really only used my kinetic rope, and I don't really like these, but I keep it around in case for some reason it would come in handy. But I haven't actually used it. As you can see, it's still got its original strap on there. Doesn't necessarily hurt to have one of these straps, but it seems like it's pretty unanimous that someone would get a kinetic rope over one of these straps. Even though these are a little cheaper, the kinetic ropes seem to work way better and they seem to be a lot safer. Another item I have that was actually sponsored like maybe 2 years ago is just this little portable battery jump starter. It's made by Fox Speed, and I actually have used this probably 10 to 15 times, especially on dirt bikes. We used it on some timber sleds this winter. It's just super handy. It's nothing too fancy. It's not like, the really expensive, fancy NOCO ones. I have heard people have good luck with those, but I've had this one, and it hasn't failed me, and it's worked great. I've had it for over 2 years. I told my parents about them. They bought one, and yeah, nothing too crazy. I think they're like $60 on Amazon or something. Yeah, and they just work great. I haven't had any problems. And I honestly should buy a second one to keep in both of our vehicles. But just want to kind of mention this. It is something that I really like and I always keep in my vehicle. I didn't just do it for a sponsored video. I actually really use this thing. Another thing I really like having is a super long set of jumper cables. So these are just made by Energizer. They're nothing too crazy. I got them on Amazon, but I think they're like 30-foot long jumper cables or something wild. As they get longer, they get more expensive because the longer the cables, the thicker the cables have to be. But gosh, it's just so nice to have long jumper cables. If there's a weird parking lot where you can't get to your car, it's longer than the length of the 4Runner. And there's just so many different side benefits. So I've really loved having a nice long set of jumper cables. I don't know if this technically counts as a piece of recovery gear, but I carry this Hercules kind of toolbox sort of thing in the car at all times. And what I basically carry in here is this big, massive 1/2-inch ultra torque drill. This is one of their Hercules drills, and this thing is a total beast. There's different settings on here. So if you can see that, you can set 1, 2, 3, and then an automatic setting. And that will limit the amount of torque this will output. So I was always worried about using drills like these because I didn't want to over torque things, but each of those settings is actually rated for a particular torque. So I'll post those up on the screen just to kind of explain them, but I carry that with me where I go. I've also got this small molly bag here of some impact sockets. Right now this kit kind of is just bare bones. I need to build it out more, but I've got a battery charger and some screwdrivers, a couple of combination wrenches, and then just a basic drill in here. It's kind of an extra. Also got some extra locks in here. I've got a wire stripper, I think just some screwdrivers. But it's nice to carry this along because you never know when you're gonna maybe need to do something on the truck, and having some power tools is handy. Now you're probably thinking, Zach, why on earth do you have all of that stuff when you're gonna maybe have to, wrench on something much smaller? I actually bought this socket kit from Menards like 10 years ago, but it's a really nice kit that's got a bunch of small wrenches and sockets, and it really was quite affordable. And I carry this in the vehicle at all times. Unfortunately, I lost a 9mm, but this has been really handy. I keep that in my truck. And then I've also got this cheap torque wrench. In a previous video, I've talked about how one of these broke on me after using it for basically everything, as a breaker bar, all kinds of things. I'm sure it was way out of spec, but my old one broke. Harbor Freight, no questions asked. Replaced it in the store. They had no idea I was sponsored. Nothing like special treatment for a sponsored guy or anything. Just one of the random stores, they replaced it for me. So this one I've kept nice. I only use it to torque stuff. I don't use it to break any bolts, and I keep that in my vehicle at all times as well. Another thing I keep in my vehicle is one of these little OEM tools. This thing has been through the ringer. It's like a 10-inch long LED light with 3 different brightness settings. These little magnets on the back work awesome as well. Fortunately, we lost one in the sauce, but this little light is so awesome. I bought it on Amazon, and it sticks to things basically all over the vehicle, anywhere that's really not aluminum. Definitely works on the hood. I'll use this when I'm working in the engine bay. It's really nice. I just love having this light along. It makes seeing things so much easier, especially when you're under the vehicle, and even daylight really doesn't light up under the vehicle. Kind of last but not least, I actually have a full onboard air system. It's part of Faster Flate's kit. Worked with Faster Flate on this, and then this ARB twin compressor actually won in a giveaway. It's all mounted to a bunch of Rago fabrication brackets. And then, all of it is powered by this full throttle battery and this big mounting SDHQ kit with their extended battery terminals. I really like this setup. If you didn't see that video, I'll link it up in the top corner, but Blaze Off-Road really hooked it up for me, and appreciate the work he's doing. We'll have more coming working with him. But yeah, this is also another piece of gear I always have in the vehicle that if I ever have to do some kind of recovery, someone's wheel is having issues or one of mine is, I've got some tools on board to take care of it. So obviously there are some bigger pieces of recovery gear like my winch. This is the Harbor Freight Badlands 12K synthetic line winch, and it has a wireless remote, or you can use a cable to connect the remote to the top of it. It's got the whole free spool and motorized 12,000 pound capacity. So this winch is pretty awesome. I bought this winch with my own money way back when I bought my C4 front bumper with my own money as well. I've really loved this combo, and I've pretty much never had any problems with it. I've only used the winch a few times, knock on wood, but I really like this setup. It works quite well for my needs. This front hook here is a little bit different. The winch comes with just a big metal hook, your typical sort of carabiner's latch style hook, but this I was able to switch out for one of the new Harbor Freight hooks that are a little bit more soft shackle friendly. So I'll put that I'll throw a screenshot up on the screen showing you what this is called. I can't remember the name of the hook off the top of my head, but it's pretty handy. And last but not least is my Badlands off-road jack. I don't always take this with me, but a couple of kind of winter runs that I've done where I don't want to have a problem, I've brought it along, especially since right now I haven't had a full-size spare with me because of my 35s. It's just been nice to have that along with in case I need to run somewhere and take the tire with, or whatever it may be. So this jack has been really nice, provides a lot of peace of mind. I know some guys carry a jack like this with them wherever they go. I'm really hoping that there's some sweet mounting options that come out on the market for these to mount them on, your rack or rear bumper or whatever it may be in whatever space that you may have. So I really love this jack. I've used it for some things around the garage, and I've taken it on a couple day trips, but other than that, it is pretty big, so I understand that there's kind of a space trade-off there. but it's a pretty nice piece of gear. So that's going to be it for this video. I really just wanted to showcase some of the products that I've been using. I carry them with me anytime I go off-road. It provides me a lot of peace of mind. I typically don't venture out on my own. I like to go with somebody, but if I am by myself, I've got plenty of different ways to get out with my winch, with my traction boards, or maybe some of these other things that might allow me to dig my way out, that sort of thing. So recovery gear, I think, is always really important as far as learning how to use it. There's lots of great resources out there for you, and a lot of the Overland Expos do classes so that you can learn how to use it, things of that nature. So definitely, if you're gonna get some recovery gear, learn how to use it properly. But just want to give a special thanks to Harbor Freight, Tread, Action Tracks, and Sandy Cats for providing some of this recovery gear. I want to give a shout out to Rome for sponsoring that case so that I can store all this stuff nicely up on my roof rack. A lot of these companies make really great options. They're definitely more affordable, but still very capable gear. So definitely go check all those out. I'm going to have all the gear that I've talked about here listed down in the link below. And yeah, definitely consider budget options for recovery gear, but don't skimp out on crappy recovery gear. So definitely it's smart to either toe the nice line of budget quality gear, or just, maybe sticking to higher end, really high quality gear that maybe is a little more expensive, but you're probably going to be thankful because it'll save you ordering a off-road tow truck or maybe some other, recovery service that you're just going to have to spend a lot of money on. So some of this stuff is really probably going to be worth your money over other mods out there. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support, everybody, and I will catch you all in the next video.